back. It was the car crash interview that made headlines around the world. And now Prince Andrew's infamous sit-down with the then Newsnight host Emily Maitlis is being made into its very own film on Netflix. It is the world premiere of Scoop tonight, and showbiz royalty have already started flocking to the red carpet. Joining me in the studio now is showbiz editor at The Sun on Sunday, Hannah Hope. Good to see you, Hannah. And down the line, TalkTV's royal editor, Sarah Hewson. Sarah, let's just revisit this moment. I mean, everybody who watched it, and that's people all over the world, will never be able to forget it, because I don't think any of us could believe our ears or our eyes, could we?
It was the car crash interview to end all interviews, wasn't it, Vanessa? One that many of us watched from behind our hands, cringing, unable to believe that Prince Andrew was really saying these things. You might remember him telling Emily Maitlis that he had a rare condition that meant he was unable to sweat, that he'd had a night out at Pizza Express in Woking, among other things, and just a straightforward shooting weekend, he described. Just some of the infamous quotes that came out of that now notorious interview, which is being made into a film. The consequences of that interview, personally, for Prince Andrew were catastrophic. Just a few days later, he was forced to step down from public life. He was stripped of his military titles, no longer able to use his HRH. And ever since, he has been in exile. He, of course, has always maintained that he was innocent of any of the accusations that were made about him by Virginia Giuffre, but the association that he had with Jeffrey Epstein has cost him very dear indeed.
And not to mention the money that he paid.
Yes, because rather than going to court, he had an out-of-court settlement with Virginia Giuffre, and that meant that there was no embarrassing court case with Prince Andrew having to reveal further details. It was, if you remember, the year of the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee, and there was a sense that this was going to overshadow that. But it also meant that he was unable to clear his name. So he has settled without accepting any culpability, but it has left him effectively in exile in Windsor and persona non grata, because, it was excruciatingly embarrassing. There were very, very damaging allegations that were made against him, and they still stand.
And obviously you've been a royal reporter and editor for many years now. You will be familiar with the personality and the demeanour and comportment of Prince Andrew. Now, this film, Scoop, is premiering tonight. There's another one in the pipeline too. Same story, this time produced by Emily Maitlis. How do you think Prince Andrew will be coping with the knowledge that this interview is going to be rerun for the viewing public, not just once, but twice in cinematic form?
Well, what's interesting is, since he stepped back from public life in 2019, there have been numerous occasions where we've been told that the Duke of York wants to make a comeback, that he wants to rehabilitate his image, that he wants to have a public role. And we've seen him, for example, at the service of Thanksgiving for his late father, Prince Philip, walking his mother into Westminster Abbey. We saw him striding out for the memorial service for King Constantine of Greece, leading the royal family into church. Some would describe him as shameless, unable to read the room, really, on this, failing to see just how much damage his association with Jeffrey Epstein has done to both him and the wider royal family. And the king is pretty firm on this. There is no role for Prince Andrew in public life. There is not going to be a comeback for him. So I think for this to be being revisited right now will be excruciating again for him, as you say, this film coming out on April the 5th, and then another version of it, a very royal scandal, that on Amazon, a 3-part mini-series executive produced by Emily Maitlis. And when you look at the cast list for this, they are stellar, aren't they? A very royal scandal has Ruth Wilson playing Emily Maitlis, and it has Michael Sheen playing Prince Andrew. At tonight's premiere of Scoop, we'll see Gillian Anderson as Emily Maitlis, Billie Piper, as you just saw there, playing Sarah Sam McAllister, the Newsnight producer and booker extraordinaire who managed to secure this interview, Keely Hawes as Prince Andrew's private secretary, Amanda Thirsk, and Rufus Sewell as Prince Andrew himself. And, you know, it is an incredible story, not least of all because they managed to secure that interview in the first place, and then the kind of things that he said in it. And as we've discussed before, Vanessa, the fact that he thought this interview had been a success.
Absolutely. Let me bring Hannah Hope into all of this, showbiz reporter. Hannah, you've been speaking to some of the actors and actresses starring in Scoop tonight, and you said there was real trepidation and nervousness among them about portraying these well-known individuals.
Absolutely. Obviously, Emily Maitlis is such a well-known character within the news world, and Gillian Anderson was certainly very nervous to play her because she comes across as so domineering on screen. And Rufus Sewell as well also said he really initially wanted to turn down the role as Prince Andrew because he didn't think he could play such a well-known character. But after watching the interview again and again, from the clips that I've seen, he really does nail his portrayal. He also has an incredible transformation. He puts a lot of weight on and has got prosthetics on his face. So Rufus Sewell looks completely unrecognisable in this role and really does take off a very good Prince Andrew.
And of course, Billie Piper stars as Sam McAllister. Sam McAllister, who wrote the book Scoop, is the reporter on Newsnight, the researcher and reporter who managed to secure this interview. None of this would have happened if she hadn't persisted and persisted and persisted in trying to set this interview up. And she was so indignant after the interview that she was basically overlooked by the BBC, not given any kind of promotion, not given any kind of acknowledgement at all.
It is really quite shocking when you read her account of the situation behind the scenes in the book, and when she talked about the pay disparity between herself and, of course, the talent, as they say, Emily Maitlis. And she actually didn't get a promotion after this, so good for her in writing the book and then it getting picked up by Netflix, because she's certainly having the last laugh.
I congratulated her this week personally because I've met her many times, and I just said how brave of her to take this leap and how brave of her to place faith in herself, you know, to be her own advocate, to write the book and now get it made into a film and get the recognition she deserves for the work that she did. It's perfect, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think what's really nice is she formed quite a nice friendship with Billie Piper, the actress who plays her.
Yeah.
And Billie really does kind of take on her very distinctive look. She has very bright peroxide hair. She dresses in black, wears designer clothes.
Snakeskin boots.
There we go. And I think it is a real kind of like for like. And I'm very excited to see it's a one-part drama. It drops on Friday the 5th on Netflix.
Yes, can't wait to watch it. Absolutely agreed. Thank you so much. Lovely to see you.